All right, everyone, we are doing a quick, very quick little power flow. So we're going to start with the warm up, bottom of our mat, and we are going to bring our arms up. Inhale, exhale as we roll down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, swoop down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, swoop down. Bend your knees if you need to. Walk your hands out towards the top of the mat. End up in a plank position. Push back into downward dog. Hover back into plank. Push back into downward dog. And we're going to do a few of these and time them with our breath. So at each point, pushing up into downward dog, I want you guys just to make sure that you're pushing your heels down and your chest is coming down towards the mat. Our pelvis is reaching up towards the ceiling, working at pushing into that upside down V position. Good. Inhale, hover to plank. Exhale, push up to downward dog. Inhale, hover to plank. Exhale, push to downward dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward dog. 3 more. Good. Into this plank position. If you can, drop to your knees if you need to. You're going to, or just hold the position. For everybody else, knee's going to come up towards your outside elbow. Push back into downward dog. So if this is enough of a challenge with the plank, just rest there. And if you need to drop down to your knees, you can. Hover to plank. Knee comes to elbow. Push back into downward dog. 3 more. I think this is our last one. This might be a bonus one. Good. Push back to downward dog. All right, drop to your knees for a second if you need to. Sort yourself out. We're going to go through that same flow again. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Push up into downward dog. Walk your hands out a little if you need to get back to your plank position. Knees are going to come up, or you're just holding plank. Push into downward dog, everyone's favorite exercise of mine. Try to get to your head tap and hover back to plank and knees. Downward dog, head tap, or as best we can, plank, knees, downward dog, head tap, plank, knees, downward dog. Walk out your dog, get yourself kind of sorted for a second. We're going to go through that again. 5 more. Hover to plank, knees, push to downward dog, head tap, or as best we can. I've lost my ability to head tap postpartum, but I'll get it back. Push into downward dog, downward bend, hover to plank, knee to elbow, push on up. I think we got 3 more. Oh, and I missed my head tap. Now we're doing 2. Into downward dog, head tap, hover to plank, knee to elbow, push back, head tap, hover to plank. Last one, knee, push up to downward dog, and head tapper as best we can. Good, knees drop down to the mat. Take a sip of water. That was our warm up. And we're going to get right back into hands and knees position. Hands underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips. And we're going to curl our toes underneath us, and we're going up into bear pose. And now, from this position, I want you guys to do little crawls, focusing on not letting your hips rock too much side to side. If this is really tricky for anyone with wrist issues, you're going to just have fists, or you're going to hold little dumbbells, okay? Or if it feels challenging enough, you're just holding bear pose, and then you can play with how long you hold it for, okay? For everybody else, we're getting into that bear pose and opposite arm, opposite leg. We're crawling to and fro on our mat. Good. And knees down, rest. Take a sip of water if you need to. Back onto our hands and knees, into bear pose position, and crawl. Focus on how much your hips are rotating. Try keep them level. Whew, knees down, rest. Crawling is no joke. Either that or I'm very early in my rehab postpartum here. Hands underneath shoulders, into bear pose, and walk forward, and walk backward. Forward, and backward, and back to the middle of our mats, and rest. Whew. All right. Kneeling in the center of our mats, we're gonna put one knee out. And I want you guys to, arms are gonna come out in front of you. And we're going to inhale as we reach back behind us. Exhale as we come back. Try a few of those. Your knee is traveling slightly forward as you reach back. And then you're pushing back with your foot slightly as you come back to normal. Good. The more that you are progressing in this movement, your knee is getting progressively farther. Good. Now as we come back to our arms facing forward, you're going to tuck your back leg, lean back, come back up into your lunge. Hands back together, drop back, reach back behind you, drop back, reach back behind you, and drop back. Reach back behind you, lunge forward a little bit more, and push back. Reach back behind you, push that knee forward a little bit more, and come back. 2 more. Good. You're bending that leg obviously just as far as you can. Some people will be able to go farther than others. Other knee comes up, arms straight out behind you, and we're reaching back towards the wall. Letting our knee start to travel forward. Keep your front heel down. That's how we're going to be working on our ankle mobility and our knee bending ability. Good. And now as we bring our arm back and our knees forward, we're pushing back slightly and starting to stretch our hamstring. Preparing to drop all the way back like we did on the other leg. Good, and then push back if it feels comfortable. Back up into your lunge position. Good. Back up onto our knees here. We're going to get back into that half kneeling position. So the other leg's going to go forward again. I want you guys to bring your arms up overhead. You're going to lean forward over that leg, plant your back toes, and you're going to push up into this long lunge position. And I want most of your weight to be through that foot tripod in the front. And then our arms are going to come back behind us. So we're in a really low lunge position. Most of the weight is on our front leg. Base a big toe, base a little toe in our heel, and we're pushing through our midfoot. And from here, I want you guys pumping a little bit. And by pumping, I mean your hands aren't going up to the ceiling. We're squeezing our shoulder blades down and back.
And we're lunging a little bit lower. We're lunging a little bit lower by bending our back leg if we need to, not dropping our chest more forward. Good. Lower that back knee a little bit more. Good. Lower a little more. And push through that front leg. Woo-hoo-hoo. Come up to standing or as best you can. Great job, everyone. That was tough. Arms come up by our ears. We're getting right back into that long lunge position. Arms come back behind us. And we're doing that shoulder blade squeeze back. And that back knee is going to drop a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. And all the weight through our front leg, stand up. Woo-hoo. And let's switch sides. How did I start to get into this position? I don't remember. Let's start kneeling. Is that how I did it? Yeah. This leg comes up. Yes, arms come up. Come forward slightly. Plant your back leg. Arms come back behind you. Squeeze shoulder blades together. Get a little bit lower by bending that back leg. All the weights through your front foot. Squeezing shoulder blades down and back. And that back knee is going to bend a little bit more. Make sure you're not putting too much pressure on that back leg. And we're going to get a little bit more. If anyone's having issues with this, get into a door frame or hold on to something beside you. Knee is going to come down a little bit more. And lean forward, all the weight on your back leg, and stand up. Great job, everyone. And we'll just get back into this low lunge position. Arms back behind you. Squeeze our shoulder blades together. Good, drop that back knee a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. And all the weight forward. And stand up. Great job, everyone. That was tough. Okay, let's get into some squats. So we're gonna inhale, come all the way down as low as we can, whatever's comfortable. If you feel like you can't relax into the bottom of a squat while keeping your heels down, don't worry, that's very normal. Make sure you're holding on to something to get the most out of this. So we're gonna come all the way down as we can, that's comfortable. And we're gonna push through our legs to come back up. Inhale, come all the way down. Exhale, come all the way back up. I want you guys to challenge yourselves with getting your arms up overhead. So ideally, we shouldn't be able to see your ears. Make sure you're not arching as you get your arms into that position. And then I want you to try think about your center of mass traveling over your midfoot as you get down to the bottom of the mat and push through your legs. So what you might notice is you get to about here and you start coming all the way down forward. So challenge yourself, try keep your heels where they are, keep your weight back. It can be really helpful to have a target to get your bum to go down to. So if you have like a little stool or something that can go right back behind your heels, and think about your bum kind of completing a triangle with your feet, and then pushing through your midfoot to stand back up. Good. Great job, everyone. Inhale. Exhale, coming back up. Shake it out. Okay. And now we're gonna stand again and get ready to do our squat position, but we're gonna do a bit more of a lateral movement. So this time you can have your arms up in your chest, you can grab a weight, whatever feels the most challenging for you. You're gonna inhale, step out. Lunge down as low as you're comfortable and push with that leg back to standing. Come out as far as comfortable and push with that outside leg. Good, other side. There's always one side that's way easier. So the key to this movement is trying to absorb momentum so you're not just flopping down like this. Slow and controlled descent, slow and controlled push back up. Good, 4 more on this side. Perfect, okay. Back into our kneeling position on the mat. One more time, that's it. Okay, and we're gonna go into that half kneeling position, tuck our back leg. If this is a huge struggle, be in your door frame or hold on to something. I just want you guys to hold this split squat position so you don't need to be as low as I'm about to take everybody through again. Arms come up, most of our weight's over our midfoot, push that back leg or back toes into the ground. Transfer all your weight to that front foot. Midfoot position, arms come back behind you. We're gonna work on our scap squeezes while we bend that back knee. A little lower. If this feels very pinchy in the front of your hip, you can either stick a hand into your hip joint or just push your knee out slightly. Make sure you're not collapsing your knee. Your knee should be in line with the bony part of your knee should be in line with your second toe. A little lower. All your weight forward and try and push to stand. Great job, everyone. Swap sides. Back into that low lunge position, arms up overhead. Shift all your weight to that front foot. Arms come back behind you. And bend that back knee slightly. And a little more. And a little more. Shift all the weight again to the front and stand. Well done. Arms come up overhead. We're gonna inhale and get down into an overhead squat as best we can. If we're working on this, this is where the chair comes in handy. And looking at yourself in the mirror, that all your center of mass is over your midfoot and you keep it that way as you come down. If it feels too difficult, that's what's really nice about having a target. And just make it that your goal is to graduate from chair and get to like a stool and then eventually a medicine ball or maybe the first step of your staircase. But the goal is to get as low as you can while working on your ankle mobility, your knee mobility, and keeping your balance over your midfoot so that we can push equally from the bottom of the squat. Good, 5 more. Well done. And we're doing our lateral ones. Can you hear me? Heavy breathing. I hope not. This is the disadvantage of not doing this over music. Five more. Try to resist momentum. Slow and controlled. Thinking about pushing into the ground like it's a leg press. So we're not bending, we're not using this leg at all. Good, other leg. Three more. Well done, everyone. Shake it out.